What's up? What's up? What's up? This is Zavi. This is my friend Law, and this is Beyond the Pieces, where we're going to talk about personal growth and self development. And we're going to break it all down piece by piece. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to leave a like and comment below. Specifically, a comment. We would like to hear from you guys, hear what you think, thoughts, comments, concerns. We would love to hear it. So, with that, let's get straight into the video.
Welcome back to Beyond the Pieces. So, Zavi, we know that people are having New Year resolutions and new goals and new energy and new everything, right?
Yes, sir.
So, they're going to have some success, right? But they're also going to have some failure. I think that it's important they know how to deal with both, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
starting with one, um, which do you think is more important to know how to deal with? The success or the failure?
Yeah. Um, I would say that it's more important to definitely, I mean, I guess I'll say this, it varies on the person. It
Okay.
varies on the person. So, me, I was very much used to success growing up. I had a lot of success in on the field and in school too. I had a lot of successes up until I went to college when education just became my second priority. But up until I got to college, it was my first priority. School's fairly, easy for me to pick up on. That being said, a lot of things came to me very easy up until it didn't. And and so my problem was I didn't fail a lot. So of course when I encountered failures, it hit me in a very I allowed it to hit me in a very unhealthy way. Um So instead of just thinking about it as, okay, this is something that I can build off of, now I know more information about this, I would really let it eat me into, oh, I'm just not good enough. Oh, like
Mm,
I'm not capable. It was more of a measure of my capability. Even if I was, I was just, I guess I would call it a late bloomer. So like I would hit the failure would hit me, and I think I would have a human reaction to it. It was like, dang, man, I suck. You know, like I would really think about it, like, wow, I suck. Or in the school, or that's how it was like on the track. If I didn't do what I was supposed to do, it was like, oh man, I suck, I'm slow. And then if it was a failure in school, it was the same way. It was like, wow, I'm slow, or I can't do it. And I'd really let it eat me into like I would always think about the one time I messed up, and then it would basically overbear everything good that I was doing. So because I was taking so much time thinking about my failure, I wasn't even like I would go to practice and I would only think about me messing up, but not, and I would go through the motions of what could correct that mistake, but I
mhm.
wasn't thinking about the fact that I'm like, wow, I have the key right here. Let me just work on it. So I would linger in the failure and just like basically just sit there like, all right, well, this is what I did. And people would be like, yeah, but you did this. Nah, but I messed this up. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah, your own
So,
biggest critic. I think too,
right.
though, it's important how you define failure, right? Because for you, your standard was here because you had already been winning, right?
Yep.
You were used to winning. But I think too, you also have to notice for a person who maybe they always finish fifth or they always finish top 10. For
Yeah.
them, being outside of top 10, they'd count as a failure. They're not even thinking about first place, right?
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so I think it's important too to know how we define failure, because I
Yeah.
think with a lot of these New Year goals, right? Some people are like, I want to be healthy, I want to get back in the gym, and they'll go back to the gym for a month or 2 months, and then they'll stop and they'll say, "Well, I failed." Well, you only failed because you stopped, right? If you start over, you start again, and you learn from what you did, like you learn about yourself or your habits,
Right.
right? I think that that's not a failure. It's just a learning process, right? I learned that, okay, I can go to the gym, but I can't go to the gym 7 days a week, right?
Right.
And for most people, they don't understand how to work out, right? And so, and you've probably seen that as an athlete in the gym. Some people are just going 7 days a week and they just hit every machine every day and hope for the best, right? And it's
Yep.
because they honestly don't know. They're uneducated on that, right?
Yeah.
And I think that too early they would count that as a failure, where it's not really a failure. It's just part of the learning process. Because if you keep going, you keep reading and all this other stuff, you'll learn. Like, I don't need to go to the gym 7 days a week. I don't need to hit every machine 7 days a week.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But and I think too, and to anybody watching this who's like that, I want to say personally, I respect the work ethic, the drive, the want to make a change, right? Because
Right.
I know as an athlete, it's hard enough going to the gym 3 days a week because we only went three. So hard enough going three. So for somebody to have the dedication to go 7 days for more than a week, you really wanted to make a change. You just didn't understand how.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's good, man. I think, I mean, like the thought that came to mind is it's important to find success in the failure. You know,
Mm.
like, yeah, you failed, but if you look at your failure in a form of like, no, that was a success because now I know this. You know what I'm saying? I think all this is gathering information and doing it again. You know, because you're like everyone knows, like, yeah, well, when you fall down, you got to get back up. Well, I mean, yeah, you're gonna get back up, but you're not gonna get back up
And
thinking the
try the
same
exact
way.
same thing. Right.
Yeah,
That's
like,
definition of insanity.
right. Was it like the definition of insanity is
To
doing the
try
exact same thing and expecting something different, you
correct.
know?
So it's not the I don't think people notice that they're not insane. So you're not gonna try something the same way, right? Like if you
Right,
burn yourself cooking, you're either not gonna cook that again or you're not gonna cook that way again.
right,
Right? And so to think that you should just never cook again because you burn yourself would be insane in itself because you're not the same person you were before you burn yourself. Right?
right.
And like how you said, the successes that are in the failure, like I was saying, some people go 7 days a week, bro. That is success in my
Yeah,
book, right?
yeah.
As a
You're
person
showing
who's
you're
only going
determined,
three,
you're consistent.
right?
Yeah,
You're resilient, you're determined. So that's a win, right? The failure came in that you was trying to do that for 52 weeks,
right.
and you made it to two, right?
Yeah, because you
It's
realize your body can't do it anymore.
correct. So it's like
Right.
you didn't fail. You just need to reassess. Was I
Yeah,
supposed to be going this much? What was I eating? How was I sleeping? What
yeah.
like
Let me answer
what
down.
what other? Because the longer you stay in the gym, the more you realize it's not just you go to the gym and you get healthy and you leave. It's a
Right.
lifestyle change, right? The gym is
Yeah.
just part of that lifestyle. So once you leave there, it's how are you eating? How are you sleeping? What are you doing to relax? What are you doing to strengthen your mental process? Like, do you read? Do you do yoga? Do you meditate? Like whatever it is that you do, right? Do
Yeah.
you whatever? So I think it's a lot more of learning yourself, right? And I think it's interesting because I was reading or no, I was watching this video and it was like self discipline, like the root in discipline is disciple, right? And so
I like that.
self discipline would be like disciples they study. So self discipline would be someone who studies themselves, right? And so
Oh,
I
right.
think when you actually break it down and you start looking at it, people who can study themselves, right, and say, okay, I do this well, I don't do that well, it's
Right.
easier for them to get the ball rolling in the direction they're trying to get it to roll because you understand where your weaknesses are, where your strengths are, right? So
Right.
now, if you're let's say you're a morning time person, right? You're not waiting until late at night to try and get stuff done because that's
Right.
not your most optimal time, right? Same thing if you're a night owl. You're not waking up early in the morning trying to get stuff done. You just wait until late at night because that's when you're at your most optimal brain function, right?
Right.
And so I
Yeah.
think if people took the time out to study themselves, they give themselves a little more credit.
Yeah.
I may not have stayed in the gym all year, but I did go hard for them 2 weeks. I just didn't know I didn't have to do all of that. I just had to do
Right.
less over a more consistent period of time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And being while you're doing that too. I mean, yeah, I said it earlier. Yeah, find successes in your failure. It's also like, because that's real hard, especially when you want an outcome, you want a goal, like your goal. And I want to kind of take some examples a little different, just for our people out here who are not all athletes. Um, when it comes, say one of your goals this year is to make new friends, right? That's a legitimate goal. So a lot of us don't want to,
Be
stay at
lonely.
home all day 24/7. They're like, all right, let me get out there, let me make some friends, which is very good. I would like to say the same thing. I would like to, like, make more friends this upcoming year. But say your goal is to make more friends, and so you start being more social. So like you'll encourage a conversation with the coworker. You know what I mean? Or you'll go out bowling, you'll go out to a social event, a bar or whatever. Your goal of making new friends is, okay, so I went to this place, I made a friend. But if you don't make a friend when you go to wherever event that you're trying to go to, that brings you down. Like, oh well, today I failed. It's like, well, did you fail? I mean, you showed up. You made you made the attempt to go out and to do. You made the attempt. You were determined enough to show up. You brushed your teeth. You washed your face. You put clothes on, and you went. That already is something different than you had done previously, because you would complain about having friends and do nothing with it. So
What if
that's what
instead
I
of
mean. Go ahead.
What if instead of looking at it as how many friends you get, what if you just make it a conversation thing, right? Like I have to
Right.
start 3 conversations. Then
Yeah.
no matter whether you get the friends or not, you don't have that bringing you down because you started convers and it could be something as like if you go bowling, right? Like I like your bowling technique, or you must bowl a lot, right?
Yeah.
That's all it take. And then people start talking. And I remember in high school, I had a guy tell me, he said, people perceive you the way you behave, right?
Right.
So if you act friendly, they're going to be like, oh, you're a friend. If you act hostile, they're going to be like, oh, you're an enemy, right? So
Yeah.
it's hard
Yeah.
to make friends when you treat people like strangers, right? Because
Yeah.
that's what
That's
they are.
good. Yeah. That's true. That's
you
true.
and it's so funny because I don't know, I'm not a creep, but sometimes I'll watch little kids interact, right? Just play
Mm.
because
Yeah.
before you know any better, before you know language barriers, before you know race barriers, before you know knowledge barriers, before you know anything, economic, anything, any barrier, you
Right.
see 2 kids, you see somebody about your age who might want to play too,
Yeah.
right? So all you do is you start interacting, you start playing, you just go, like you don't think
Yeah.
about it, you just go.
It's
So
simple. Can I play?
right, and it's like, what if you were like that as an adult, where you could just go, "Hey, what's your name?"
Right.
Right? And you can. Now the person may not reply back, right? They may decide they don't want to have a conversation with you. That's okay,
Right.
right? But don't make it more complicated than it has to be. It could be simple. Hey, what's your name? Okay, my
Right.
name's Law. Okay. How old are you? Okay, I'm blah blah blah. Da, da, da. What do you like to do? I like to do that too. Do you like this? Do
Right.
you like that? And then all of a sudden you're having a conversation, and you might have just met somebody who has similar interests as you.
Yeah, man.
So
Yeah. So so count that success of you did those. You know what I mean? What are your small goals? So yeah, that's your big goal. What are you gonna do to get there? You know what I mean? Like this, and that should be exciting. And when you do it, be okay. Be okay of the outcome because you did it. You know what I mean? Like you did something that you're already nervous about. Like if you even thought about, if you have a goal and then you make some small goals towards it, if those small goals make you nervous or kind of make you sweat when you're doing them, that's good. That means you're challenging yourself. And if you're challenging yourself, and if you're conflicted, that is growth. So you're going somewhere with it. Just like, the whole thing. What is it? Joel Embiid, the whole trust the process thing.
yeah.
Like that.
Well,
It couldn't be. Go
I can
ahead.
give you one. There's a quote that goes, "Life is either a daring adventure or nothing at all." Right? And
Hmm.
so when you really think about what that's saying, it's stepping outside your comfort zone. right? It's a
Right.
daring adventure. It's I don't know if I can, I might be able to, I don't and you get this big adrenaline rush. And like you said, it might make you feel like you're sweating a little bit or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's you feel alive when you do that.
Embrace it.
Yeah. It's
Embrace it.
and I think that you just have to like you said, find success in the failures, but when you do, celebrate them,
Right.
right? So
Yeah.
to make you want to go try it again, right? Because if I say I'm gonna start 3 conversations, right, at a bowling night or something, or a bingo night or something, right?
Hmm.
I'm gonna start 3 conversations, and I go start those 3 conversations, but I don't get any new friends. Well,
Right.
I can be discouraged because I was trying to get a new friend, right? But
Right.
I can be happy in that I had the 3 conversations I planned to have. And I can even go overboard and push myself to 5, maybe. Right.
Right.
But I think that should be
Yeah.
celebrated because even though you didn't get a new friend, you still made a really big step. Because how many times can you go to bingo night and have 5 conversations or 3 conversations and not end up with a new friend?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and it seems so simple, like, but we want success so quickly. That instant gratification thing, where it's I
Hmm.
want it and I want it now, not now, but right now. It's
Right.
just it's okay. It's okay for it to take more than one try. You know,
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. But I know we talked about the failing end. When it comes to the success, like handling success, which was a huge thing. And it was funny because I was glad you brought it up in our conversation about a month ago, I want to say. Um, but yeah, man, that's something that not a lot of people talk about. So, what do you think about handling success?
I think that it's harder than dealing with failure
Okay.
because a lot of people quit before they get to the success, so they
Right.
can only tell you how to deal with failure because that's the only side they've ever seen. But
Mm.
the thing about dealing with success is that it kind of goes from when you're failing, no one cares, right? When you're working out and you're not seeing the results and you count it as a failure, no one cares because you haven't lost any weight, right? You don't have the perfect shape or whatever.
Right.
However, the moment you begin to lose weight enough where people can tell a difference, right? That success. Now it becomes harder because everybody's telling you how good you look, and you don't really need to lose that much more weight, and you da 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 da, da right? And so
Yeah.
now it's like you had an original goal in mind, and now
Right.
everybody seems to care, and everybody has their opinion about what you're doing, and
Right.
it's so easy to lose sight of the original goal. So I think
Yeah.
it's harder to deal with success because two, you have to depending on what it is am I do I deserve this? And then secondly, it's why do so many people care? Right? No
Yeah.
one cared when I was losing. No one cared when I was failing. But now that
Yeah.
I'm winning, not only do I want to continue to do so, right? But I don't want all of this pressure of everyone on the outside looking in, right?
Hmm.
And I think that's what's not talked about. And so once you start succeeding and you have to face it in real time, it can be rather difficult.
That's good, man. Yeah, no, that's really good. And I agree with you. You know, I look at things more I like to look at things in a bigger scale of gravity, like seriousness. Like, okay, why is this happening? So I did succeed. Nice. And now people are coming up to me and telling me how great of a guy I am and how, great of a athlete I am or how good I am at this class or whatever. Or and it kind of it really makes me think. And it's called discernment in the church. Um, but I believe that there are forces out here that want to keep us stagnant. And I believe it is the enemy. That being said, in both failure and success, there are ways that you're going to be approached with something that wants to keep you either one, thinking that you can never do it, or two, thinking that you're good, that's enough. Go
Mhm.
ahead and stop. You feel me?
Yeah, you
Um,
said a lot too. Then I didn't want to forget. You
yeah.
said to think that you're not good enough, right? Or to
Yep.
think that you're incapable.
Yep.
I find it interesting because there's a quote. It says, as a man thinketh, so is he, right? I think, therefore I am, right?
Right.
And so what I find interesting is going back to the gym example, right? If you're on the treadmill and you're running, the first thing to quit is always your mind,
Right.
right? And you called me crazy with me the first time, but to be on the treadmill and feel unsure, you can still do it, right? So if you're
Right.
unsure about being able to go for a certain amount of time, you can still accomplish that because you have not set in your mind that you cannot,
Right.
right? But the moment you say or you think to yourself, I can't, then you can't, right? And
Right.
so I think too, dealing with success or failure, you have to be aware, you have to be conscious of what mind frame you in, right? I just think that when you look at success or failure, right, you have to keep in mind that if I fail, it's because I thought I failed. Just like if
Right.
I succeed, I thought that was success for me, right?
Right.
And so going back to what I said earlier, life is either a daring adventure or nothing at all, right? So let's say that this week you run a mile, right? You can run a mile next week and the week after. You can run 1 mile every week for the whole year, right? Nothing
Right.
wrong with that. But you'll get to a point where running it is way too easy, right?
Right.
And so what'll happen is you'll get bored. And so because you've gotten bored, you need a new challenge. So I think with success or failure, it's not about was the goal necessarily accomplished. It's more so how did you think about it, right? So
Right.
if your goal was to run a mile a week, cool. You get to the point where you're running a mile a week. Now what? Right? Like how do you mentally process that? Is that your maximum
Right.
capability, or was that just your first limitation?
Exactly. I like that.
Right?
Was that your natural capability or just your first limitation? That's good.
Right? And
That's
so
good.
the way you think about it, because at first, if you've never like, I remember being a kid and they had this thing. I think it was called like the fun run, and it was a 1 mile run. But bro, I had never been to a track. I had never been anywhere near track. I had never been running before like this, right? And they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a 1 mile run. And they're like, they had some type of prize, whatever, for like whoever finished first, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I know like I'm running with these guys who are pretty fast. They're a lot faster than me. I've never been fast per se, but
Right.
I'm a distance person, right? So
Okay.
I'm like, okay. But I'm thinking, because no one told me, I'm thinking that the whole track is a mile. So first person all the way around once wins,
That's a
right?
mile. Yeah.
Oh, brother, was I wrong about that, right? So
Right.
I start off slow and I'm just kind of staying close, right? Because I know everybody
Mm-hmm.
who's fast took off, quick. And then I finished the first one. They're like, okay, three more. And I'm like, whoa, what?
Yeah. That was everything in the tank.
Right? And so now I'm
Right.
looking at it like, do I even have three more laps?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
But then after I ran it, and I think I ran like probably like a 15-minute mile, probably like 15:30. It was bad. Uh,
Right.
But now the mindset switches from can I run a mile to okay, I can run a mile. Can I get my time down? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then from there it's like, okay, I can get my time down. How low can I get my time? Okay, now
Right.
that I have my time as low as I can get it, how many miles can I go at this pace? Right? And
Right.
so it's you constantly think of new challenges for yourself. But if you scared to attempt to tackle the first challenge, you'll never make it to the second, third, fourth, fifth challenge, right? So I think it is
Yeah.
important whether you count it as a success or you count it as a failure, the way you think about it, I think is one of the
Mm-hmm.
most important parts.
Right. That's good, man. Yeah, no, that's real good. The end of what you said, really, it made me think as simple as the whole shooter shoot. you know,
Shooter, shoot, bro. Whether you
shooter
make a
shoot,
miss,
man.
if you a shooter, you gonna keep shoot. And then
Keep shooting.
if you a real shooter, it's you 0 for 13. You
Right.
make one layup. Now you 1 for 14. Coach is like, stop shooting. Yeah. Did you see the last one go in? Coach, I'm hot
Yeah.
right now. I'm hot. Like,
Right.
no, you're not.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the mentality, right? That as
Yeah.
long as I can get one. And then I noticed too, if you ever really listen to shooters, they always think in averages. So if they averaging 30%, right?
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
constantly shooting at 20, 15. They're like, if I just keep shooting this, I gotta get hot because that's my average. Like the numbers
Right.
gotta play out. Right. And so it's the mentality. How do you define success? How do you define failure? And then
Yeah.
once you understand how you define it, right? Like what we are saying about meeting new people. If you define success as 3 conversations, that's success, right?
Right.
If you define failure as you being too timid to even start a conversation, then that's your failure. Now you need to figure
Yeah.
out, going back to that self discipline, that studying yourself, why was I so shy? Like, what is it about other people that makes me so shy? I have a hard time talking to them. Because at the
Right.
end of the day, they people just like you people.
Yeah.
They need stuff just like you need stuff. They need help just like you need help. They probably
Yep.
want somebody to talk to just like you want somebody to talk to, especially with this social media age where everybody's so distant and it's cool because like
Yeah.
you're in the Springs, I'm all the way in the boot, and I have friends in Georgia and all these other places, right? And we can stay connected due to the internet and due to technology, but it's not like we can have a game night. It's not like we can
Yeah.
play Uno, together or
Right.
whatever. So it's good and it's bad. People are
Right.
disconnecting to connect on social media.
Yep. Yeah, man. And then, I mean, for those, because we brought it up before about people do actually care what other people think. If you're gonna care about what other people think, you need to be, you need to recognize that other people come with their own failures. They come with their own challenges, right? Nobody is perfect, and that's a common thing that everyone has said. But if you really think about it, it's like, okay, well, yeah, I struggle to start or to hold a conversation, but that guy struggles to start a conversation. I struggle
Help each other.
to, I struggle with math. He struggles with science. You know what I mean?
English and
So,
math are big. Like, help each other.
right. So if you realize that, it's just make it, that should give you a little bit more confidence in just being okay with being you. Be
For
okay
sure.
with being you, man. Yeah, I'm dealing with this. I struggle with this.
But being you is
I mean, you
hard
know what I mean?
if you don't know who you are, right?
Right.
So it's like that's why it's important to have solitude, to take the time to get to know who you are and what you like and all these other things, right, about yourself. So
Right.
that when you're around other people, you can continue to be who you are, right? So
Right.
like you said, be
Yeah.
you, but I think it's hard to be you if you don't know who you are. So take the time to know who you are, and then life
Right.
gets a lot easier after that because you can just be you.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's steps to it. There's definitely steps to it for sure. And I mean, for more emphasis on, I know we talked about earlier the whole shooter shoot thing in basketball. For those of us who don't know, in basketball, there is a thing called shooter shoot. And basically, your shooters who are identified as shooters, like when he gets the ball and he shoots the ball, it's going in. Right?
Typically, right?
Right. Say he's having a bad shooting day. Okay. One day he comes, everyone knows him to make every bucket, right? He starts shooting, missing, brick, brick, right? Most often, especially if he's a shooter and everyone knows him to be a shooter, his teammates are going to keep on saying, keep shooting. That's what it's called. Keep shooting the ball. That's the same mentality that you need to have with life because you're human. So in this situation is you're human, so do human things. Part of the human experience is failing. Part of the human experience is succeeding. So keep doing it. You're good at being you. A shooter is a shooter. They're good at being a shooter. You are good at being you. So keep doing that. Feel me? So
In this movie called Life, every other role is taken. Play
yeah,
yours.
man. Yeah, and just and once you start looking at it like that, it really does get exciting and you get better at it. You get better at handling failure because you've done it multiple times. You get better at handling successes because you've also done that before.
Right.
So you've been there and I think that's a problem. I've had to deal with that problem before is especially in the height of, my being cocky. One of the things I remember one of my coaches was saying is act like you've been there before.
You hear that
You
a lot
know?
with football coaches scoring a
Oh
touchdown.
yeah,
Act like you've
of
been there
course.
before. That's all it's
Yeah,
so
man.
great.
Right. Yeah. But then if you really think about it, it's like, yeah, do it, but don't act like this was like you've never done this before. Be proud of it. Be proud. Don't ever let someone take away your success. Right. But
Be glad.
be glad and realize there's more to come. There's always more to come. That success that you had is not the last one you're gonna have. You're gonna have another one.
Another
You
one.
know, so like, yeah, man, it's exciting, man, and I'm really hoping that this really reaches some kids, some like adults, whoever's listening. I really reaches you in a way that's not just inspiring, but I want it to be conflicting. Be like if it's making you think, if it's making you think in any shape or form right now, if it's making you, this video is making you feel that you're not enough, or maybe that you don't have the determination of someone that you should have, don't take it as in a way of something you're not. Take it as an opportunity. This is an opportunity. Look at it that way. This is an opportunity for you to be curious about who you are, be ambitious about who you are, to be ambitious about your goals, actually get up and do something towards your goal, not just have a goal to put on a picture or to put up and post on your refrigerator, post on your calendar, post on your phone, post on Instagram. It's more than just a post. So if you treat it in a way of, yeah, that's what I want, I'm going to fail. I'm probably going to fail a lot more times than I'm going to succeed. I probably will,
I think it's
but I'm
the
going to do it.
I think it's the mindset thing. Like where people say like I heard a guy say mindset, right? So
Uh,
break that word down, you have mind and you have the word set, right? So when you
mm-hmm.
set something, that means you put it in a particular place not to be moved, right?
Right,
So like you set the thermostat in your house, right? So no matter what, the house should remain at that particular temperature, whatever you set it to.
right.
But then you also have thermometers that just tell you the temperature in the house, right? It's
Yeah,
78, it's 72, da da da. So I think it's the same way in life with your mindset, right? If you set your mind to this is my goal, I plan to accomplish it by this day, but if on the chance I don't, I have my mind set so that I'm not going to stop until I accomplish this goal. But
yeah,
I understand that it may not happen the first time. It may not happen the second time. It may not happen the 300th time. It may not happen 1000th time. But I know that I am not changing my mindset on me obtaining this goal until I obtain it. And then
yeah,
once I obtain it, I understand that there's a level two that I currently cannot see because
yeah.
I haven't accomplished level one, right?
Right.
And I'm gonna show my age a little bit here, kind of like playing Super Mario's, right? You
Yeah,
can be playing one level, but you have no idea how hard or how the next level looks until you
yeah.
actually get there. You can have
Right.
people tell you how hard it is, how fun it is, what it looked like, what to expect, all these things. But until you play it yourself and
You're not
make
gonna
it to the
know.
next level, you're not going to know.
Right.
And so I think that's just
So
success
get
of
to the next level.
yeah, success or failure. Just keep going.
Right.
And then once you get to the next level, you'll know. And it's okay to
Right.
fail at the next level. And sometimes you got to go back to level one and start over.
Yeah.
Just like games where you had multiple lives. You lost a life, now it's time to go back. But this time, level one should be easier because you've beat level one before.
Yep.
So getting back to level two shouldn't be as hard. But now you
Yep.
know what to expect at level two.
That's true, man.
And you kind of know how to prepare yourself for level three based on the difference between levels one and two. Or
Yeah,
at
because I
least you
mean,
think you do.
you're building up your what they call repertoire. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're building up your accolades. You're picking up different skills, and that's the whole thing. That's literally in the workforce. That's what they hire. They work people with the experience. They hire people with yeah, like what have you picked up? What do you know? What have you done thus far? So because that matters. It's gonna make you who you are. So if you're not picking up anything, that's who you are.
It's
What are you
true.
doing? You know what I mean? So be
Get
courageous.
your accent say.
Go progress yourself. Look at something to do. Take advantage of opportunities because you're gonna get to a point where you're like, man, I really should have did that, and that's okay. Everyone has passed up on an opportunity before, so don't think that well, well, there probably won't come again. There will be one if you keep looking for it. So yeah, man, I hope I I pray that everyone watching this video has taken something, has found something, some if they found a piece that they can just take away with them. That's this whole thing is take it piece by piece. There's a piece for everybody. So yeah, anything you want to add?
Just if you don't get anything else out of this video, right? It's not to be super successful. It's not to be the worst failure. It's just about having the mindset that good or bad, rain, sleet, or snow, to keep going,
Right.
right? And so, whether that means that you failed by whatever standard you set, keep going. But if you have
Yeah.
success, we talked about it in a previous video. Don't stay where it's warm.
Mm-hmm.
Go where it's hot. Go where it's cold. Enjoy the
Right.
warmth when you have it, but don't live there.
Yeah.
So if it feels comfortable, if it feels easy, you're not being challenged. And what I'm personally noticing, I don't know if you have Zabi, so I won't speak for you.
Mm.
But what I've personally noticed is that as humans, our strongest superpower, like our strongest muscle, is our brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I can
Yeah.
put you in an environment where you have no resources, right? You don't speak the language, you don't know anybody, right? And what are you going to do? You're going to mentally adapt to your environment. Whether
Right.
that means you learn to hunt for your own food, or whether you learn to grow your own food, or you learn to speak whatever the language is that's local, right?
Right.
Your biggest superpower is your ability to adapt. And that's what your brain was built to do. So if you're
Yes.
not making your brain have to adapt to different stuff, to new challenges, you're going to get bored. That's why
Right.
it feels hard working a 9 to 5 for some people, because it's not mentally challenging anymore. And
Yep.
that's what's crazy about it, is because at first you think that's what you want. It's something
Right.
that's easy, something that's not mentally challenging. You just do this for 30 years, not really
Yep.
that hard, and you're good. But then you wake up and you realize, I hate this because it's not mentally challenging,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so
Stagnant. Yeah.
I think whether you succeed or what by whatever standard, or fail by whatever standard, you just gotta keep going. How can I be
Yeah.
better? What can I do better?
Right. Right.
And I think you'll handle
Celebrate.
both.
Celebrate it. Celebrate it. Keep moving. There's more to come. There's
I
more.
think,
So much more to come.
and you do that, and I think you'll handle both the right way, right?
Yeah. Okay. And then while you're doing both of these, while you're when you have to go through failure or when you're succeeding, there's like we spoke about it earlier, just touched on it, was that the enemy is trying to do anything in his power to make sure you don't reach your full potential, right? So how it looks with success, people are gonna build your head up. You're gonna basically close off everything and be like, oh, I'm the best. There's nothing that I need to do. There's nothing else I need to do differently, right? Like I did it. The mission was accomplished. Why do I need to do it any differently? But then when you fail, it's a matter of incapability. Oh, I can't do it, right? So just don't put so much. And again, it's discernment. It was discernment for me to know that my coach, even though at first I'm a late bloomer. So at first, at face value, I was just like, man, I'm not trying to hear anything my coach was telling me when he was showing me those times with people in Florida, those people in Texas. Um, but then, looking at it now, especially that I'm about 8 years older than I was then. Um, I'm like, I needed that. I really needed that. And so once you get a little quicker at it, you're going to look at experiences like that. You're going to be like, yeah, I needed to hear that. But there's always going to be a difference between someone who's trying to build you up and someone who's trying to bring you down. And you're going to know. You're really going to know. Because if all they want to talk about is your failures, okay, it's like, yeah, well, I know you won that, but you looked funny doing it. Well, why does that matter? You
A
know what I
win's
mean?
a
So
win.
a win is a win. So it's not about, yeah, like, and this is the thing is everyone looks to be, oh, well, man, that person's a hater. She's a hater. Everyone has haters. Yeah. Well, yes, I believe there are people who are, waiting on your demise, people who are waiting on you to fail. But why are you putting so much energy towards them in the first place? They're still going to run their own race. They're running their own race. So you're focused on their race so much that you're completely disregarding what you got in front of you. You have your own obstacle. So unless you're right next to me, do not get stuck feeding off the accomplishments of others. Because then that's the same thing, man. You're gonna get stuck exactly where you are. And then
Damn.
you're gonna go into this loop. Now I'm depressed. Now I'm sad. And then you start closing yourself off. Now I don't want to hang out with anybody. I'm just gonna stay here. Oh, now anytime anyone talks about New Year's resolutions, I'm gonna get quiet. Not just because I don't believe it, but because I actually don't believe that there's anything better than where I'm at. I don't think I'm capable of it. What?
How do you feel about
Right.
it? Like that go back to your confidence. That go back to what you think you're capable of. It all
Mm-hmm.
starts with your thinking. So you need, if you're not accomplishing the stuff you want to accomplish, perhaps you should take a look at the way you think about things you're trying to accomplish. Do
Yeah.
you even think that you're capable? If you don't think that you're capable, then that's why you haven't. Because even if you're capable of something, you will self sabotage yourself if you don't think that you should be capable of whatever it is.
Right.
So you just have to be conscious. How am I thinking? How am I thinking? How am I? And it's a challenge. You got to
Yep.
be you got to be creative, right? You got to you got to push the boundaries. You got to use the whole box of crayons, right? So to
Mm-hmm.
speak. So all of this is important, you know.
Yeah.
How are you thinking about these things? Success and
Right.
failure. How are you thinking about it? What are you doing to push the envelope? Well, this has been an episode of Beyond the Pieces where we're your hosts. He's Zavi. I'm Law. Catch us next week right here at Beyond the Pieces.